The art of ancient Greeks and Romans is called classical art. This name is used also to describe later periods in which artists looked for their inspiration to this ancient style. The Romans learned sculpture and painting largely from the Greeks and helped to transmit Greek art to later ages. Classical art owes its lasting influence to its simplicity and reasonableness, its humanity, and its sheer beauty. The first and greatest period of classical art began in Greece about the middle of the 5th century BC. By that time, Greek sculptors had evolved many of the problems that faced artists in the early archaic period. Artists such as sculptor, poet, architect, and painter Michelangelo used a realistic style when depicting the human body. Donatello is another sculptor that made his works more realistic by carving natural postures and expression that reveal personality. He created the first European sculpture of a freestanding nude since ancient times. It was of a boy named David who was said later to become a great king. Filippo Brunelleschi is widely considered the first Renaissance architect. He was trained as a goldsmith in his native city of Florence. Brunelleschi soon turned his interest to architecture, traveling to Rome to study ancient buildings. Among his greatest accomplishments is the engineering of the dome of Florence Cathedral. Arnolfo da Cambio, who considerably enlarged the existing religious structure, finished the cathedral around 1367. The Medici Palace is one of the largest and most important Renaissance palaces in Florence. As the Medici wealth grew, so did the need for a better family house, and in 1444, Michelozzo designed this palace for Cosimo the Elder. In Michelozzo's design, the exterior is simple, but the interior luxurious enough to suit the guests who came to stay. It was Cosimo's eldest son, Piero, who ordered the construction of the private chapel for which the building is most famous, the Cappella dei Magi. By 1460, this palace was complete. After a period of neglect, in 1659, the Medici sold it to the Riccardi, who extended the building northwards and partially renovated the interior. The two principal components of Renaissance style are the following: a revival of the classical forms originally developed by the ancient Greeks and Romans, and an intensified concern with secular life, interest in humanism, assertion of the importance of the individual. Renaissance was an explosion of creativity in art, writing, and thought. Artists, scholars study ruins of Rome and Latin Greek manuscript. Humanism is the intellectual movement of focused on human achievement. Humanists studied classical texts, history, literature, and philosophy. The Basilica Papale di San Pietro in the Vatican City, commonly known as the St. Peter's Basilica, is the most famous Roman Catholic church in the world and one of the holiest sites in Christendom, dating back to the Roman architecture of the early Christian art period. Admired for its Renaissance sculpture as well as its fusion of the Renaissance and Baroque architecture, the design, construction, and decoration of the St. Peter's involved the greatest old masters of the day, including Alberti, Raphael, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, and Bernini. It also commissioned many types of decorative art, including stained glass and tapestry art, as well as a huge range of mural paintings, illuminated manuscripts, and miniature paintings. The Sistine Chapel resembles a high rectangular building with no doorways, as its entrance is through the Papal Palace. The exterior of the Sistine Chapel can be seen only from nearby windows. Its interior is divided into 3 stories, with a vaulted basement with several windows and a doorway leading to the exterior court. The vaulted ceilings rises more than 65 feet, and over it, a 3rd story forms the upper level of the chapel. The chapel was built with 6 tall arch windows on each side. However, some of those have been blocked. Some major maintenance corrections have been done to open the gangway, as well as repairs to the Sistine Chapel Mansory.
Michelangelo was summoned to repaint the ceiling. The Sistine Chapel was created by Pope Sixtus IV in 1475. The chapel's namesake, the chapel was built as the Pope's chapel and remains so as well as the site of the papal elections, meaning shortly after it was built in 1481, the Pope called upon Rome's finest painters to paint frescoes on the wall. The ceiling was originally painted by Piero Matteo. In 1508, Pope Julius II della Rovere asked Michelangelo to repaint the ceiling.